This is Full Time, and it's me, Max Bretos, the soccer OG. It's me. So here we are, end of the year. Thank you for everyone who tuned in over this past year where I got to talk to you here on YouTube. I really enjoy this. We got to work on the numbers. Tell a friend and tell a friend to follow, because I got stuff in the hamper for 2020. It's going to be cool. I feel like I'm ahead of the curve, though. I feel like I'm ahead of the curve doing this before many others join this medium. So a lot of people are out there doing the best of the decade. And the idea that gives me a huge headache. You know, it's thinking back to 2011 and, you know, people arguing Premier League team of the decade. Who should it be Ashley Cole or should Wayne Bridge? I'm not doing that. I like to live in the here and now because I think we get things done. We got to kind of put the past in the past. We look back at 2019, which is what I'm going to do here in our year recap. And it wasn't a great year. It was a good year. It wasn't great. Most years are great. I mean, I think as human beings, we come out the other end and say, look, we went through, I mean, with some exceptions, obviously. But we made it through here. And, you know, there was enough things to give us faith and confidence that we will improve. I thought in soccer it wasn't really good. Bad in some ways, and maybe they missed the opportunity in others. So I'll get to that. But I want to start with the good. And there was no one better. As I look at the team of the year, it's easy. It's Liverpool. What they did, going on, escorting Manchester City in the Premier League and narrowly missing, being the best second-place team in the history of any league, then winning the European Cup, and now positioning themselves to finish the job they weren't able to last season. They have the Premier League, and it's going to be the first in, almost 30 years. It's remarkable what they have done, and they've done so much for the club. The brand resonates. It's cool to wear a Liverpool shirt or to be aligned with those players. Everything Liverpool is cool because you have this incredible combination of history and groundbreaking football. You know, what they did is change the game, and I'll explain what. For the last 10, 12 years, we have been caught in a Messi versus Ronaldo debate, and it's fun. And you have to pinch yourself, and we're living in fear here in a couple years when these guys start to demise in their talents, and it's already begun, that era will come to an end. And it's going to be a tough pill to swallow because that's everything we knew. That moved the needle for everyone who covered soccer. If I said Messi, Ronaldo, if I labeled full-time Messi versus Ronaldo, I'd get a lot more clicks because that's what people like to talk about. But at some point, it has to end. And even better, someone has to end it. And I think Liverpool are the first real example of a super team getting rid of the super players, a super club, the sum of their parts. That's what Liverpool is. Everyone on their team was pretty much a second option, with a couple exceptions. Virgil van Dijk was not a defender that was looked at the same level of a Gerard Piqué or Sergio Ramos, but he's become that, if not past them, because of what he has done. He was a good find that pulled him out of Southampton, and there he goes in Liverpool. Incredible scouting for Liverpool. Then you have Mo Salah, who was a reject. Robert Firmino, who was not really well regarded, way down the totem pole. Sadio Mane, a little bit more of a prospect, but this development of the fullbacks and these two incredible young players moving forward, it's changed it. And now this is the model I think other clubs are going to do. And Tottenham Hotspur kind of felt that. They almost won the European Cup. You don't need to have that super player because when you have that super player, everything revolves around them, and that becomes difficult. You want the super coach. It's the era of the super coach, and Jurgen Klopp is the most valuable player, coach in the sport right now. It really is. Liverpool have changed it. And you'll watch it, I think, in this Champions League. The teams that emerge are going to be the teams that have the sum of the parts, that do well, which is probably bad news for Juventus and Barcelona. But I just don't think that really works in today's game. You can have this coach who sees it all, and we've seen so many great examples of it. So Liverpool really changed the game. It was a great year in a lot of other departments. On the international level, we had a lot of international competitions. Congratulations to Mexico and Brazil coming back and winning the Copa America. That was important for them because they were getting pushed around a lot. Algeria in Africa, proving that, again, Algeria is a huge country when you look at it on the map. And they're producing so much talent. I think they're going to be a real player in the next World Cup if they stay healthy and they qualify, because African qualifying is not cut and dry. But this is an exciting time for these teams that won international competitions. The emergence of England. England, the English League, the clubs, they owned 2019. 2 finalists in the Champions League were English, 2 finalists in the Europa League were English. England gets to the semifinals of the World Cup in 2018. They continue to build towards that. They prove they have the best young players. You know, years ago when an English soccer fan or an English man or woman would come up to you and go, England's the best. You could roll your eyes and laugh. You can't do that anymore because they might just be the best in everything. In the 2000s, we looked at Spain and said, what are they doing? They're good at every sport. Tennis, basketball, soccer. What are they doing? England's that country now. They won the Cricket World Cup. They got to the final of the Rugby World Cup. They got to the semifinals of the Soccer World Cup. Their women got to the semifinals. They're doing something right in England with sport. So bottle it and let the rest of the world have a taste of that as well. So I think that was a really high point. You know, I would feel I'd say reluctantly to put England over the top after all the crap I've heard over through the years. But, you know, I don't have a problem with it. They deserve it. They're doing something right. They have to be one, probably to win the Euros, 2 or 3 favorites, and the World Cup. Why not? Why not? Where was I going to go from here? What could I do? I got the English game. Something I really liked was the development of a relationship between Liga MX and Major League Soccer. It's a no-brainer for Major League Soccer, but they had, obviously, the CONCACAF Champions League ongoing. The Campeones Cup, the new Leagues Cup, is there, and now there's going to be a Liga MX All-Star team coming to Major League Soccer. I think MLS teams are ready to make a breakthrough there and win one of these things, or Atlanta United won it last year, or get to a final, and that changes everything. And then all of a sudden, you know, MLS is making headlines over in Mexico, and that starts to come over here. People in Mexico start paying attention to Major League Soccer. Hello. Game changer. So I think that was something I really liked. I buried the U.S. women here a little bit. They were a great story. Their dominance was remarkable. But this is somewhat bittersweet when I think of the women's game. There is a... I looked at it. It was being played in Europe, and the U.S. embarrassed the field. And that's not a good thing for the game. The U.S. needs its foils. They need their rivals. You know, we thought it was going to be France. France laid an egg in that World Cup. They should not have even been on the field with the U.S. at some points. Germany, hello, where did they go? Brazil faded as a world power. The old generation sticking around too long, as it happens in the men's game, but they stick around too long. They got to follow their cues and let the young players get a go earlier. All right, it has to happen. This riding off to the sunset, playing mid-30s, a World Cup, no. But the U.S. are the best team, the best attackers, the best defenders, the best playmakers, the best young players. It's unbelievable. England I had hope for, but then when the push came to shove, they were no contest. The U.S. breezed through this World Cup, and that's not good for the women's game. Aida Hegerberg, best player in the world, decided to skip the Women's World Cup. And I can't imagine the sacrifice that must have been for a young player to miss the World Cup. And her country, Norway, did pretty well. And you imagine if she was there, they could have done really, really well. But she skipped it for her beliefs on how the women's game has been treated. And respect to that, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Most players wouldn't be able to do it, but she did it. But that leaves, you know, there's a bit of an emptiness of what happened at the Women's World Cup. And now they're talking about it every 2 years. And that's a money grab, obviously, for FIFA. But what I immediately thought when I heard that was the U.S. is going to win it every 2 years, and they're going to have like 10 World Cups. That's not good. No one's going to touch them. They missed their opportunity. The rest of the world has to get better. When you look at the Men's World Cup, we don't know. The hosts are the big favorites, you know, usually don't win it. Brazil in 14. You know, France in 98, they had to go, you know, you look at all these pitfalls. The USA didn't come close to getting any complications. They were so much better than everyone else. So I thought that was a missed opportunity, and we see post-World Cup, it's getting better, but there's still no equal pay. I just say at this point, give equal pay. Take the hit if you are U.S. soccer and find ways to recoup it. But it hasn't happened. So the women's game it had a little bit of a push after for a few months, but again, you fear it's going to hide. You got to get people a reason to watch year in, year out. So that's a wait and see. All right, the big thing that is game-changing that was a real negative in 2019 was the emergence of VAR. Week in, week out, we saw it in Major League Soccer, we saw it in international competitions, and then really highlighted in the English Premier League, where they have done a really awful job of enforcing it. Every week it gets worse and worse. We get more and more discussions. It has changed the game. The referees are on the hook for these calls, and they have to their jobs are on the line. They're afraid to make calls. I've seen it over a 4-month span. They're worried to make calls. The linesmen don't put their flags up. The play goes through. As announcers, it hurts me. I want to be accurate when I'm calling a game, but I have to wait to see. Are they going to review? I don't want to live in that world. I don't. But VAR is here. There's nothing we can really do about it, but there has to be adjustments, namely with the application of offside. And you should do what I do every time I see a VAR decision. Just say clear and obvious, clear and obvious, clear and obvious over and over in your head while you're watching it. And tell me if the words match the pictures. Tell me. Ever. When you're fine-tuning a line to find it, at that point, I say whatever the call on the field is, because you don't want to undress your referees. If their confidence is low, the game is rendered almost useless as an official thing, because they don't have the power they need. You got to stick up for them. That said, I think there should be more transparency in its application. But we're looking at these lines and we're doing this. Sure, it's offside, but I'm sorry. I don't want to live in a perfect world, in the stoppages and everything. It's changed the sport, and I promise you there's going to be ramifications for this in the road to see what's going to go on. VAR, and this past weekend, there were 4 decisions that all had that line and the armpit, and we talk about it all the time. They got to fix it. They got to find a way to apply it better. And it's also become a bit of a crutch. We use it a little more. And there was a stretch there where it was getting better. And I said, and then it gets worse again. I was like, all right, they're applying it better. Needless to say, that is 2019. I look forward to 2020. VAR is something we need to... Oh, Nations League. I forgot to mention. Nations League was a nice addition to what happened. I think I covered some good things. So make sure you subscribe. I'll be back better than ever than 2020. View it, learn it, use my thoughts as your own if you would like. Thank you again, and Prospero Año Nuevo. Prospero, which means prosperous New Year. You can use that too. Feliz Navidad. Prospero Año Nuevo.